I've been seeing some very strange reactions from the left in response to the Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe versus Wade, and I want to explore some of those in this segment. One of the common themes I've been hearing is the idea that the Supreme Court must not tell women what to do with their bodies. And what I find kind of interesting about this argument is that this is precisely the Supreme Court's argument in the Dodd decision. The Supreme Court says, we, the Supreme Court, must not tell you what to do with this issue, what to do with your body, what to do with abortion in general. It's not our business. Why? Because the Constitution doesn't recommend abortion. The Constitution neither forbids abortion, and so this is not a matter for the court to decide. There is no right here that has to be defended against state or federal action. This is a democratic matter to be settled democratically. So the court is saying that the court can't tell women what to do with their bodies, but legislatures can. In fact, the left doesn't contest that principle, because if it did, then they would say that the legislature has no right to pass mask mandates because they can't tell people what to do with their bodies. And the legislature has no right to pass vaccine mandates. And the legislature doesn't have the right to do 50 other things that the legislature does do that do tell you what to do and where to go and how to behave and what you can't do and so on, including things that occur in, quote, private, in your own domain. You can't molest your own children in your own house. It doesn't matter how private it is. Bribery is private, but you can't do that. So the democratically, all kinds of laws restrict what people can and can't do. And the court is saying abortion's not any different than that. It's something that needs to be decided by states democratically. Now, Whoopi Goldberg, who's apparently very angry at particularly Clarence Thomas, I guess she thinks that it's really bad that he decided this because he's black. And so she basically says that if things keep going the way he wants things to, then she says, quote, Thomas might soon be, quote, back to being a quarter of a person. Now, I think here Whoopi Goldberg is referring to the 3/5 clause of the original Constitution. By the way, that clause has been overridden by subsequent constitutional amendments, but it was there in the original Constitution, by the way. It's no reflection of the intrinsic value of blacks. It arose out of a fight between the North and the South over representation, but nevertheless, there it was in the original Constitution, the 3/5 clause. Whoopi Goldberg doesn't know about it. She doesn't know it's a 3/5 clause. She evidently thinks it's a 1/4 clause. She thinks that somehow the Constitution made blacks into 1/4 of a human being. So this really just shows the kind of intellectual low level that we are dealing with here. And here's Anna Navarro, quote, if you're against abortion, don't get one. If you're against contraception, don't take any. If you're against same-sex relationships, don't have one. And then she continues, do not impose your beliefs and religion on all Americans. Well, let's test the logic of that claim. Here's my counter to it. If you're against killing people, don't kill anyone. If you're against racial discrimination, don't discriminate. If you don't want to abuse children, don't abuse them. But stop telling others not to do these things. Don't impose your personal moral beliefs on the rest of us. I'm not mentioning this to recommend these things. I'm mentioning this to expose the logical inadequacy of what Anna Navarro is saying. And we find the same kind of reasoning, the same kind of, I'd call it non sequitur, coming from AOC. Here's AOC on the floor. I'm quoting her now. The same individuals who claim to be protecting life fight against universal health care. Do they believe in universal health care? From their policy positions, I assure you the evidence is lacking. Now, again, the assumption here is that if you support the protection of life, you are somehow committed to universal health care. You're committed to policy positions in, you may say, the government taking care of that life. Let's test the validity of that logic. Let's say my neighbor is abusing his kids, or let's say he's actually murdering his kids, and I know about it. I'm against it. I want to stop it. I want to take steps to prevent him from either killing or abusing his kids. Now, does it follow that if I take that position, I now have the lifelong responsibility to take care of them myself? Do they automatically now become my kids? I've got to pay for their education. I've got to pay for their healthcare. No, I'm just against them being killed or abused, and I want that stopped. What position I take from there on out, am I willing to help? Am I willing to play a part? That's a whole separate question. So AOC is kind of assuming that you're not sincere in trying to protect life if you're not willing to assume direct responsibility for that life. And I think that is, at the very least, a non sequitur. I'm not coming out against healthcare or anything like that. I'm simply saying it doesn't follow from the one that you are automatically responsible for the other. And here, finally, be sure to set your clocks back 50 years before you go to bed tonight. The idea here, very consistent with progressive rhetoric, that somehow whenever a decision comes up they don't like, we're rolling the clock back. And it's tempting to say we're not, and we're not. But a better way to answer is this, and that is, you know what? Maybe we should roll the clock back if we could. If we rolled the clock back, America 50 years ago, let's see, where was America 50? I guess 1970. I'd rather pick 1980. But America was a better place 50 years ago. We were prosperous. We had free speech. We knew the difference between men and women. We aspired to a colorblind society. The country was much more unified. And so the kind of malevolent creatures like today's Democrats, the kind of people who relish in abortion, take pleasure in abortion, say things like, I'm going to have more pregnancies so I can abort them, that was unthinkable 50 years ago.